going to be the fifth and last question of the council chair debates. So the nightmare is almost over.
Just one moment, actually. Go ahead and keep asking questions. We're waiting for the last presidential candidate to be here, so I want to go ahead and optimize your time so we're not allowing you to have too much game time.
I guess the nightmare will continue. Right, and this question would be directed to Shannon again. Shannon, please give your input about the new constitution changes. How will it impact the role of GPSA Council?
Well, I think that the committees in working on the Constitution has done a lot of work to help make it easier for someone new to just read it and be able to see where things are. It's a lot clearer. There are some different changes, and I think that there will be an effect on all the positions within GPSA, which I think is positive. Not only the council, but the council chair, the president. It's not like this committee was targeting one thing. They were trying to make it clear and make it more balanced. And don't mind if I answered the question, but I think they did a really good job, and there will be changes that we all will have to adapt to.
The one thing I see about the Constitution that actually really excites me is working on the non-departmental funding hearings. There were a couple of groups that we couldn't fund that deserved funding because they were more than 50% of their membership was from the same department. And they said, you know, well, where should we go? And we all sat there going, well, I guess you're going to have to go to the council and present in front of all of them because that's the only really solid thing we could tell them to do. It wasn't clear where they could go to get their funding. And I think that the new Constitution does address this issue, and I think that's a really important issue to address. Everyone should be able to get access to funds for their groups.
Yep, I do actually agree with both of you guys. It definitely makes the, to just the outside objective reader, it clearly defines the roles of the council, the president, and the judicial branch. And I think that's important. Separating out the bylaws, it allows people to take us more seriously as an organization and allows us more sophistication in how we work. And so I'm excited. I hope that it does go to vote in front of the student body. I think you guys have worked hard on it.
Thank you. I'm excited about us reviewing this. I know there's going to be some changes to it, but from what document we had last fall, this is an entirely, not an entirely different wording, but it's an entirely differently accessible document. I like there is some rearrangements of committees, but it's all, again, to be more accessible to students. The language has been cleared up. The bylaws and constitution used to be in one jumbled document. Now they're being pulled apart. There's also sections to understand what the verbiage and the wording is. And especially also the financing process, streamlining that for students to have more access. It's a great document, and I know we have a lot of work on that today, so thank you.
All right, any rebuttals? All right, next question, Sarah. How will you work with the new GPSA president to keep the present ratio of 3 and 4 SFRB for graduates and undergraduates instead of the new 7 undergraduates to 2 grad policy change?
Well, I am already working on that one actually. Right now what we're doing is we're going to all of the non-recurring funding groups because those are the people whose funding will be the most in danger because recurring funding, well, the SFRB doesn't really change much with that. And trying to get a coalition of these groups. So far I've spoken to 3 or 4 of them. We're also trying to get the graduate students to really have a strong voice right now. The policy changes are coming up. They want student feedback as of April 7th, so please, call and bother people about this. Because it's really important that the graduate students have a voice. This agreement of the 4-3 keeps the conversation going, and the conversation is the most important way to make the right decisions.
Good. I really agree with Sarah. I think coalition building is a really strong way to do this, especially with the student groups that have non-recurring funds. And I'm kind of appalled that this is actually before us, that we're in danger of losing any kind of legitimate representation on this this board that oversees millions of dollars. So, so I really plan to build coalitions, build relationships with the appropriate stakeholders, and educate them about what they're doing to the graduate student voice, and why it's important that the graduate students continue to have a voice on this really instrumental board in the university.
Thank you. This is quite a striking piece of news. It really does kind of edge us out of having a say on an incredible amount of funding. I think most importantly, I'd like to know who we should contact and take my time and say just,
We'll get it to you.
thank you, thank you. I'd like to see that. So if we have by April 7th, maybe just, if we could all get on that and maybe talk to our constituencies. This is an incredibly important, this is really important as far as where we are at as a council and the effect that we can have on representation and budgets in the university. Thank you.
Well, I agree with what the other candidates have said about this process. However, I'm a big believer in preparing for the worst. Not that I would say 7-2 is the absolute worst, but it is very close to it. I think that the council chair and the President more specifically, will need to be prepared for what to do if that change happens. And I think understanding the communication between the people that are on this board and what can be effective as to how to still get the graduate funding that we need if the 7-2 change does happen. In that the rotational schedule between the ASUNM and the GPSA president as the chair, I think is very effective and could be a very efficient tool on our side if the 7-2 change does happen.
Any rebuttals?
Actually, just one quick point of clarification. Right now, what it is the government is listening to just different people within the government's ideas. As of April 7th, they opened the floor for student input, and students have 30 days, so we really want to bombard them with this issue.
I kind of disagree with you, Shannon, in that I guess just the whole approach of kind of waiting to see what's going to happen to us and then preparing for the worst. I think it's really important, and I'm sure you do too as well, of being proactive in working towards preventing this change from happening, while also, preparing for what could happen. But yeah, the approach I think is very important, proactiveness.
Just a point of clarification, I actually meant that I agreed with the strategy on stopping this change, just to be clear, but that we need to be prepared if the change does happen.
Anything else? Megan?
No, I'm cool.
All right.
And let me just interject really briefly, I'm sorry, before you ask your next question. I know some of you are probably kind of wondering what's going on. We do have a presidential candidate who is on his way right now from another meeting, and so that's why we're allowing more time for questions. I also do want to acknowledge we initially had 5 candidates who had been participating in this debate, so in terms of time-wise, we're balanced out. We planned for this time, we planned for this to go a certain amount of time. So just wanted everyone to be aware of where we're at and how we're proceeding. Thanks.
Right. Next question will be directed at Victor first. How many council meetings have you attended and why?
Well, this is my first council meeting, and I'm attending it now because I'm running for GPSA council chair, which I decided to do after the last council meeting happened.
Oh, yes. My God. See, old people. This is my 5th council meeting. Why did I attend?
This is
Because Brittany would get me if I didn't. No, actually, I mean, I print out all this big, huge packet. I print it out the minute it comes, and I read through it. And then I call people, and I get together, and I'm like, what do you think about this? How do you look at this? And I love that process. It's really a way to get, you guys all know I'm getting my master's in taxation, right? I need to get out of the box a little bit. And so this is my way of being able to learn how to connect with people and not just tax law. So, yeah, I mean, that's the amazing part of it, is I get to talk to theater people and philosophers and people from poli-sci finally, thank you. And that's really cool. That's why I show up, because I'm not only doing something that makes me a better person, but I get to bring that back to my own department and say, these people are cool. We're really doing some good things. Thanks.
Shannon.
I've been to 6 meetings. I missed last meeting, sorry. But 6 meetings since August, and I'm here because I'm the representative from the law school, but also because I want to be. It was a really big deal to me that I missed the last meeting, and but I'm here just to communicate back with my constituents and classmates about what's going on, and that's why I'm here.
Sarah.
This is, I believe, the 3rd council meeting that I've been to. Like I said, I'm the rep, so when someone from the law school, or one of the alternates, so when someone from the law school can't make it, I come. I also, like I said, I am here for this right now, and I'm also here because of the budget being presented later on in the council meeting. And it's just always really interesting to see how the dynamic works, see the discussion and how it flows, and I'm always grateful to be here.
All right. That's everyone, right? All right. Any rebuttals? No? Next question. First directed towards Megan. The law school has had problems with GPSA in the past. How will you deal with similar issues in the future, i.e. discontent within departments?
Oh, absolutely. You have to talk to people. You have to get together and collaborate with them. Find out what their issues are. You're going to do that in business. You're going to do that in life. You do that with your friends. You have to do that on a council, especially one that has a public view. Everybody can find a way to work out consensus. I mean, we're all running against each other. We're having a party up here. It's great. But I know that there were some issues with the law school, and I remember reading about that. But look at today. We've got law students running for president. We've got 2 on the judicial. There's 2 here. Look at how things can turn around with communication and collaboration. I think it's pretty awesome. Thanks.
Shannon?
Going off of what Megan said, I don't find it too ironic that the 3 people who are running for a position are all first-year students. Unlike the other candidates, I'm totally new to New Mexico, so I walked into, oh yeah, this is what's going on, and are you sure you want to do the GPSA thing? And I'm like, whoa, wait, we are still a member, I want to be involved because that's me. You know, I want to be involved, and I want to represent the school because we are a part of GPSA, and that's where I stand today.
Sarah?
Well, I got emails about this before, right after I got accepted to law school, and it really kind of broke my heart because, like I said, GPSA is kind of important to me in a really geeky sounding way. But I would really want to work out with the communication things. I think that was the biggest thing I've seen is that the law school, for some reason, felt very neglected. It was the whole North Campus mentality that we're not part of the whole school. And I think that it's important for both groups to come to the table. And if we can sit there and talk about issues and we can work them through them, I mean, that's no problem. The most important thing is getting there. You can always solve a problem once 2 people are in the room together, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the communication is really important. It's important that one faction of this body doesn't start feeling neglected, and the way to prevent that from happening is being proactive and listening to people's concerns, especially when those concerns get to the point which sounds like they got to with the law school. I think there's some truths to keep in mind here. We're all learning how to be counselors, how to be leaders, and how to be students. And if we can keep that in mind and move forward and learn and grow together, then I think we can do a really good job and stay united as a really strong organization.
All right, rebuttals?
One more question.
One more question.